Breaking news. James McGill, 33 years old, from Dublin, who works as a senior boss at Google, was turned into a raisin after long-term EMF exposure. Before and after. 33 years old, ladies and gentlemen. This is your brain on Google. This is your brain on 5G. This is your brain on EMF technology. Take it seriously, ladies and gentlemen. Before and after, diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia, not so rare anymore. We've seen the cancer clusters in schools. We've seen the reports. We know the links, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why we say limit your exposure. Check out the EMF 390, as you can see here. Only 129 blows away the competition. When we tell you to lower your exposure, it's because the studies are conclusive. The radiation is deadly. We've got so much news to cover. We'll be coming back to this. But before I was doing broadcasting personally, I was working at Apple headquarters in Ireland, not far from this dude. And you should have seen all the routers, the Wi-Fi networks. Craziness. I know that these corporate environments are horrible when it comes to the amount of radiation that you can acquire. We got so much news to cover. How's everybody doing out there? How's the stream? Everything was bugging today. And we did an update, a Microsoft update. It took an hour. It looked like they had to reboot the entire hard drive. So they must have had some severe bugs. We heard that all of their systems crashed, that 911 went down. Anybody hear about that? We got so much news to cover. Want to give a big shout out to everybody in the audience. How's the stream though? You guys hear us okay? The music, everything? Big shout out to Tanya, Pat's Place, DMB, Orwell, Huxley, Stefan, Clark, Nick, many more, all the regulars. Much love to everyone out there. How many of you have got the herpes, ladies and gentlemen? Admit it right now. The audience wants to know, how many of you have the herpes? How many of you have HIV? How many of you have COVID? Are the numbers in fact lower than reported? How many of you are feeling the fatigue? You're going to feel it soon enough. Get that magnesium. Get all those vitamins in you. Dark winter is coming. Hope you saw our previous broadcasts. You need to check those out. Crystal Night in New York. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. They're blaming the Jews for the outbreak in New York. They say they have a 322% higher rate than the city. Actually, it was 3.3%, 33. But they want to shut down all of the Jewish communities. And then they want to shut down your churches. And then they want to call you the Nazis. This is what the Nazis did. They censored your speech. They set up, this totally draconian government. They went after people of faith, Jews and Christians. Have you read the Old Testament lately? It happened in the Holy Land. Ilhan Omar, ladies and gentlemen, she's back in the news. Did you see it? They were like buying up, votes. Buying votes. All of these mail-in votes. And so they're not just going to try and rig the presidential election. It's going to be every House election. It's going to be every Senate race. Every city council, every sheriff. They're going to be using these mail-in ballots to just totally tip the scales towards the Luciferian end. And given the evidence, all of these mail-in ballots should be thrown out. People should have to vote in person with an ID, just like everything else. You want to go cash a check, you know? So the fact that they want to, you know, have all of these things just show up through the mail is highly suspicious. Project Veritas, of course, strikes again. We've got all of the hidden footage, all of the hidden cameras there, the middle of the action. It was like drug dealing. The dude's like, I got to get my hustle. Check this out. Lesbian lovers killed dismembered man to steal inheritance. Pay attention to the lesbian witches out there. All of the wicked people out there are up to no good, one way or the other. And they love to scream, you know, discrimination and hatred and all of that stuff. But essentially, these people are victims of the system, and it's not going to end well for these people. That's the problem. You know, not these lesbians, not Jeffrey Dahmer, not the Podestas or the Epsteins of the world, and not this guy either. You know, these people that sell out for these big corporations thinking, oh, they're hot shit working for the big tech. You got the badge, you got the benefits, you got the corporate parties, right? It's a fucking trap. It's a rat trap. And everybody gets their dose at these big tech companies, ladies and gentlemen. Reduce your exposure. Check out the EMF 390 featured here for only $129 on our website, stfnreport.com. And, you know, it just blows away the competition. But you really want to limit your exposure to all electric fields. And that reminds us, we've got a real interesting story to share with you. How's this feed doing? Let us know. Everything crashed today. We had to redo everything at the studios. Software issues. Are you guys having issues with Microsoft today? Let us know. Is it slow? Did you do the update? You better have an hour for that update. They should let you know when they're going to do something like that. But they just, you know, throw these updates. And now it's like every day they have an update for you. What's in these updates? That's the question. Lesbian lovers kill the dude, take the money, the lesbians win. Yeah. Hold on, we got so much news. We got so much to cover. Hold on, but I really want to focus on this story. This is the story of the day. We really had some big news stories today. But secondhand television, the 80s TV, takes down an entire village, takes down the internet in an entire village. And it took them 18 months to figure out that it was this TV that was blowing away the broadband. Now, you really have to think about this for a second, because this is huge. This is huge. This TV took out like the internet like a mile away from it. This TV next to a Death Tower would have taken down the Death Tower. What does this TV do? Well, it turns out it's like dirty electricity broadcasting at 612 kilohertz AM radio. This thing shoots out 612 kilohertz AM radio waves on top of everything else. What were we getting dosed with these televisions? And we didn't even know. In fact, the entire, you know, topic of discussion of, you know, what's in the air waves will blow you away. But this thing really just kind of opens up all sorts of interesting ideas. 0G, pirate radio, broadband interference from transmitting on forbidden frequency. So, you know, this is something that people can kind of like have fun with. find an amplifier or a mini broadcaster at 612 and see if it takes anything out. Because it's like AM radio, essentially. There are AM radio stations, 612 kilohertz, which must be like 612 on the radio dial. So that is really interesting. Because you're going to have all sorts of like RoboCops, Skynet showing up in the future here. And it would be nice to have like some kind of mace or pepper spray for that. And you can douche them, spray them with, you know, certain frequencies. We're thinking 60 hertz will blow everything away for particular reasons. But broadcasting at 60 hertz is another story. 60 or 612 kilohertz seems to take out fiber optics somehow. And so this is the forbidden frequency. Now, I'm not sure if you're allowed to transmit at that frequency in your jurisdiction. You may want to call the FCC to find out. You may want to do that. Or you could just turn on an old television and see what happens too and see if that's illegal. But it might be if they can catch you in the act. So you have to think about that. But you also have to think about the future. And the future is EMF weapons. That's the future. They're microwaving you. Well, for fuck's sakes, ladies and gentlemen. These death hours, you know, are microwaving you. Why can't you microwave them? There's probably a law against that. But this I thought was the most interesting story of the day. What do you guys think about that? It started making me think about all sorts of things. You know what I mean? Now, we're launching a new channel, Christian Homeland, and we're going through the Bible right now. We just started with the book of Matthew. And this is Matthew 2, 1 through 3. Talking about the Star of Bethlehem. It turns out, you're not going to believe this, but it turns out in 5 BC, which is the suspected timeline of the birth of Jesus. But in 5 BC, the Chinese astronomers and the Korean astronomers recorded in, you know, their meticulous records a huge supernova that appeared in the sky. And programmers with today's technology, and we could do like a whole broadcast just on this, positioned where, you know, what month that supernova would have had to have been in the morning sky. And that would have been like the big sign for them, you know, for all the mystics back in the day, seeing this big new star appear in the morning sky. You know, a lot of people, you know, 2,000 years ago, they see something like that, brighter than all the planets, just show up, you know, and they know all their constellations. There's no TV back then. But they see this big, huge new star. And so they go in that direction. And it brings them to the Holy Land. And they announce themselves, you know, to the king of the area, Herod. And everybody knew the prophecy, ladies and gentlemen. It all started in Bethlehem. Check out Christian Homeland. You know, Christians deserve a country for, of, and by Christians. I mean, we deserve to be governed by Christians. You don't want Luciferians. You don't want Sodom and Gomorrah. You don't want lesbians running the show, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want them grooming and molesting your children. I mean, you know, when they do that to their children, then they become gay. And that's just not the natural way of life. It's all about being natural. What's wrong with that? Looks like the mayor of London was trying to fake out his flu shot there, ladies and gentlemen. These people, sadistic. Julian Assange will probably end up in some kind of supermax prison. Like this one for terrorists. That's where journalists go these days. Into the supermax. Yeah. Check this out. I'm not sure if you can check that out on this particular feed, but the hypocrisy's everywhere. Masks for you, but not for them. Look at that thing. Voltron is here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, the big breaking news. James McGill, 33 years old. I'm not sure how many of you have been 33. But man, and you know what? There's a lot of people that have been hit with cancers due to what's in the environment. All the synthetic, things that are in the environment right now. That's where the cancer comes from. They ignore the cause and they try and sell you the medicine. Another type of plandemic. They've been doing this for years. What makes you think this virus is any different? We talked about Crystal Night happening right now in New York. They're trying to shut down Jewish districts, shut down Jewish businesses, ladies and gentlemen, just like the Nazis did. That's socialism for you. National Socialist Workers' Party. That's the Nazi party. Socialist, leftist, labor. It's always the same thing with these people. Rigging the votes, cheating, stealing, killing. In fact, it's the antithesis of the Ten Commandments. That's what these people are into. The exact opposite. How well do you know your 10 Commandments? You should know them quite well by now. But their religion is the exact opposite. You've heard of the Antichrist? Have you heard of the Antichrist out there? Have you heard of the anti-Christians? Huh? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Everything has its antithesis, ladies and gentlemen. Its opposite. Like matter and antimatter. What are they doing in CERN? Other than Luciferian sacrifices. Look at this. Cute couple. Going door to door. And, campaigning for Donald Trump. I mean, that's romantic. That actually makes me kind of jealous. But I'll tell you what. This is normal. This is how it should be. Instead, you know what you got on the other side? You got communist lesbians, showing up at your door, shouting you down like, you're a racist. And it's just like, these people have got to go. We need more, couples like this out there than what you were seeing, currently in these big cities. Voter fraud everywhere. The presidential debates just a few hours away. Now, in theory, there is no way Donald Trump can lose to pedophile Biden. There is no way. However, with this, election engineering through, the mail-in ballots as well as the censorship online. I mean, they are definitely, interfering. And what was really weird? I watched NBC Nightly News last night. And they were like direct from Beijing. Live from Beijing. It was like, oh, this is how they've done so wonderfully. And we're going to follow with the Chinese method. And all of a sudden it really hits you. You know who's responsible for this pandemic, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Democrats and it's the Chinese. And Fauci is a Democrat. You know, these people at the CDC, they're Democrats too. Bill Gates, a Democrat. Obama, Democrat. All Democrats involved here, ladies and gentlemen. Hillary and company. This is their virus. It's definitely the China virus, but it's the Democrat virus as well. They want to lock you down. They want to take away your freedoms because that's what Nazis do. And it's not just that they're Nazis. It's that they're cult members. They're atheists. They're Luciferians. Literally. The Nazis were like that too. You can check out the history documentary Hitler and the Occult. When evil is in charge, it always looks the same. Slavery, misery, war, famine, all the big negative things, plagues, the works. That's how you can kind of tell, what's going on. Are we getting hit by plagues? Oh, evildoers must be in charge. Are we slaves? Yep. Evildoers are definitely in charge. So that's how you can tell. And of course, they're going to try and steal the election. They're not going to earn the election, right? They're not really going to debate. They're just going to, accuse you with lies. This is what these people are. They're of the dark side. They're children of the devil itself. And you can tell them by their fruits, ladies and gentlemen. Have no doubt about that. So this is some of, the micro machinery that's working in your cells, making proteins and the like. Truly nanotechnology governed by a genetic code that is a programming language. It has its own alphabet. It codes for start, stop, micro machines, everything in between. Highly advanced technology. No credible scientist can tell you that life does not appear to be engineered. But they always omit that in, the science classes, in the textbooks. But when you look at, the information required, even for the simplest form of life, there's no, chemical evolution pathway for that. They never try and explain how, everything looks so engineered. But it's for this very reason that GMOs work, that CRISPR works, that PCRs tests work. Check this out. Devil Energy wants to frack and release, gas, fossil fuel, which is literally the remnants of previously living materials. They want to pump death from the ground and spray it everywhere. And the gas, of course, is probably, full of spirits and ghosts. Julian Assange faces torturous months of parking space size cell if extradition to U.S. occurs. I think that, this is kind of ridiculous, to say the least. But, if they were to confront what Julian Assange really represents, and they would have to confront Seth Rich, they would have to confront, the Podesta-Files. They would have to confront the war crimes from, Iraq and Syria. They would have to fess up to being worse than the fucking Nazis themselves, essentially. And there's just no way that they're going to do that. They want to show up, at their press conferences like, impeccable authority figures. But essentially, we're dealing with hardcore war criminals that are hell-bent on genociding humanity. That's where we're at right now. Apocalyptic fires are ravaging the world's largest tropical wetlands. They say at least 50% of, the wildlife out there has gone extinct over the last 50 years. Not sure if a lot of people realize what that means, but that's part of a process. They're killing life on this planet, little by little. And we should oppose, every step of it. I think being pro-life goes beyond caring about, little babies. If you're going to be pro-life, then why not be, for everything that's living, for all of creation? Because it's all special. Ladies and gentlemen. And they're destroying it. And we don't have a say. We don't have a say about when it comes to these death hours. We're not going to have a say when it comes to these vaccines or the mandatory testing or anything else, really. You don't have a say. You don't have a say in the lockdown. They can just take your liberty away and say, look, our test results show that you don't deserve freedom today. You know what I mean? So they don't, they don't even want to put it to a vote. They don't want people really talking about the information. They don't want people talking to each other at all. I mean, you got to wear a muzzle now. Stay at home, shut up. Or else. And we've seen, in countries like Australia, I mean, they're busting down doors for people posting, things on Facebook. What are these things? Let's show up and protest our government peacefully. Our rights. No free speech, no right to assembly, no right to religion. So pretty much, I mean, they voided out the entire First Amendment without any type of vote. And I don't think that's what, we bargained for at all, as Americans. We didn't say, well, we got all these freedoms, except in the case of some kind of pandemic. Now, here's another real interesting thing. And, people, think about a virus and they think about, this thing that just kind of copies itself into infinity as long as it can until, the immune system comes by or something like that. And essentially, viruses can, in theory, I can already hear the people now, there is no virus, right? But in theory, these things can chop themselves up into little cruise missiles that do all sorts of, crazy ass things. And one of these ideas is a prion like mad cow disease, where you've got this protein that's just, a slightly different shape than a regular protein, and it comes around and contaminates all of the other proteins. Just a protein itself can act like an infectious agent. It doesn't have to be the whole virus genome, in fact. And, we're suspecting that this virus is going to end up like mad cow disease. Imagine airborne mad cow disease. Does anybody know what mad cow disease is? No clue out there? You don't want to know. But essentially, it's like a brain wasting disease. And it has all sorts of pathologies from imbalance, slurred speech, memory loss, disorientation, aggressive, behavior. but it's like literally like an amoeba eating your brain. So even proteins can do that. Doesn't have to be the whole big virus package. And it looks like, you know, this virus has a payload that causes inflammation, brain wasting disease, multiple sclerosis. It's like VX gas packaged in a self-replicating virus, which is super cheap, you know, when you think about distribution. You know, you thought Amazon was cheap getting the package to your door, but there is no cheaper delivery service than, you know, a virus. And here's the thing that you really got to think about, right? You know, they're like, oh, it's all going to go back to normal when we've got the vaccine. Well, you know, we got a flu vaccine and the flu is still here. Ladies and gentlemen, let that sink in. The flu is still here. Hello? They have a flu vaccine, but people still get the flu, even if they get the vaccine. Now they try and convince you that it's better. But, you know, if you look at the statistics of the last 20 years, there's more and more and more people dying from the flu than ever before. So how do you really know? At this stage, what I figure is that the television is like one of these, you know, ads for whatever medicine. You know, you see sunshine, you see happy people holding hands, celebrating how their life has gone back to normal. And, you know, sell you the dream. But they cause the problems, ladies and gentlemen. In any case, the TV is just selling you like vaccines like it's some kind of medicine. Some kind of like, you know, ad for whatever medicine you see on TV. How many ads do you see a day for medicine on TV? A ton, right? If you watch TV, please tell me you don't watch TV. But, you know, I'm sure you remember watching television and it was like, you know, people holding hands. Oh, yes, my syndrome became so much better thanks to, you know, prophylax or whatever. So, but that's all they're doing right now, trying to sell you the vaccine. And what good will it do? We don't know. We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Chances are it's booby-trapped by the Chinese. Like they knew what kind of vaccines we would go for. The shit's booby-trapped. Frenchman says tattoos cost him kindergarten teaching job. See, this is the problem with the world right now. We got these libtards. And you know what? You think about this. Seriously. This is a French dude, right? How many Americans died liberating these people so that they could be freaks? Can anyone explain that to me? How many Americans died liberating these people so that they could be freaks? I mean, we should have let these fuckers die. Did I say that? Check this out. We liberated this place too. COVID-19, reduce your speed now. The British never would have made it had we not intervened. It was just a matter of time. You know, we had to go in there and save these people. Look at us now, right? The British is trying to interfere with their BBC. Remember Building 7, BBC? They were right there like, oh yeah, it's gone down, and it's still there right behind her. Remember that? How many people did we lose so that they could be like this now with their Tavistock Institute, running their Gladio bees, you know, starting World War III with the Russians? For fuck's sakes. We should have let these people burn with the Nazis. You'd have to wonder, you know, what the world would look like to be on that. In any case, It looks like war out there in, you know, Eastern Europe right now, near Turkey and Greece, and it has the potential of drawing in other countries, of course. Armenia, home of the Armenian genocide, and the Turks are like, we're coming back, bitches. We saw what they did to the Kurds, right? And they're probably going to come back for the Armenians. I mean, I'm not sure what to say about all of that, but Armenia is a Christian country. Remember, all those people got crucified. But, you know, we're too busy. Thanks to these fuckers right here. You know, you got Brain Chip Man. You got the dude that's like looking at you through the phone, listening to all your phone calls. And then this one, if you're not a lesbian, then, psh, you know. I'll tell you what, Christians are the most discriminated demographic out there right now. We're the next Jews. It's only a matter of time before it's our crystal night. In fact, that's what this lockdown is really about. Because at the end of the day, all that's going to be left are these huge libtard enterprises, you know, like Amazon and Fakebook and ScrewTube and, you know, things like that. But, you know, the merchant class, gone. You're a slave on the plantation now. 500,000 long COVID victims in constant pain for months after first symptoms. A lot of people are complaining about fatigue. Now we've said it time and time again. Take a multivitamin every day. Be at 110% of all your vitamins. Get magnesium. That'll get your energy back. And get vitamin B12. That, you know, research vitamin B12 and multiple sclerosis, and you'll see that it's like the wonder vitamin. We recommend everybody get, you know, their dose of vitamin B12. And check out the wonders of, you know, magnesium. But we've read a lot of stories, especially in, you know, from the American press, where people with long COVID symptoms have already racked up $100,000+ in medical bills trying to figure out what's going on. Literally. So you take 500,000 victims, you know, so far that have come forward seeking help. Multiply that by 100,000 per victim in, you know, medical costs. So far, they've already generated something like, you know, 20 billion, or, you know, $50 billion. $50 billion in revenue already. Imagine how much money they are going to make from COVID. Imagine how much they're making just from the masks. And people are shutting down. People are, you know, out of work, right? It's going to get worse. I mean, after this winter, I mean, especially in these big cities. Is there a virus? Is there not a virus, ladies and gentlemen? At this stage, we would say that there is a virus, and it targets, you know, predominantly men. Now, yeah, I think a lot of people want to argue, you know, other things, which are certainly, you know, possible cofactors like diabetes, you know, whether it be the 5G exposure or chemicals or whatever. But, you know, I think there's a high probability that there is a virus. We're not excluding the fact that it's, you know, it's a big, you know, kind of psyop, if you will. But you know what might also be a psyop is telling people that there is no virus. That way they're sure that everybody gets their dose. Because all the people that are going out there right now without a mask and the like, they're getting their dose. So at this stage, we wouldn't recommend risking it just yet. I think it's a little premature, a little too early to say, you know, quite definitely that there is no virus, especially if you don't have a lab. How many of you don't have a laboratory at your house right now? And I'm not talking just like a little chemistry set. I'm talking, you got the, gene sequencing machine. You know what I mean? You got the PCR tests. You got the little pipettes, and you know what I mean? Little mini test tubes that snap shut. How many of you got that? So it's really difficult to say, for sure that there is no virus. What if there is a virus? So at this stage, we feel like there's probably a lot of underreporting going on due to the, stigmatism that's associated with the label, as well as, the 14-day lockdown or quarantine. How many people want to go through a 14-day quarantine? Raise your hand. Anyone? How many of you want to freak out, your loved ones out there because you have COVID? So there's a lot of reasons why people will say that they don't have it. Just like, when people say they don't have an STD. And you might be saying to yourself, well, it doesn't kill a lot of people. Yet. I mean, this thing just hit the market. Nobody knows how bad it really is. And, there's a lot of diseases that take years. If it is like mad cow disease, which right now I would bet on mad cow. If I was going to bet on anything, I would bet this thing turns into mad cow. So and I'm serious about this. I'm talking hardcore mad cow. If you don't know what that is, you need to look it up. You need to check out a video of mad cow disease, what that does to humans, right? But my bet is that this thing turns into airborne, mad cow for at least, say, 10% of the people out there. So, we're talking about quite a bit of stuff. And I'll tell you what, I've seen, more and more COVID rage. People just getting triggered over the littlest things. And we suspect that's, part of the package for some people. So, whatever. At this stage, be safe out there. And that doesn't mean you have to wear a mask 24/7, but avoid crowds. And if you're going to be in in some kind of store or something, wear a mask. And I don't know what to tell you for people that got to go to work, got to go to school. It's mostly men over 40 that are at risk. But we're starting to learn more about the younger demographics. And essentially, it's like mononucleosis for a lot of people, or glandular disease for the British subjects. And that just kind of like knocks people out hardcore, to the point where people can't even really get out of bed very much. And that's usually a sign of neural degeneration as well. So be on the lookout for people that are acting flaky, twitchy, especially twitchy. I think you'll see twitchy, you'll see people lethargic, you'll see stuff like that. And that might be the onset, the beginning of the disease, really. And that's the thing, are people now on the on-ramp? And so our recommendation is not only to limit your exposure, but to, start taking like immune system boosters, natural herbs and spices, everything, research it. and give yourself every advantage out there that you can. And especially, given the fact that we know that EMF radiation, like, basically burns out, guts out the immune system, we recommend, lowering your exposure. People are like, why do you sell a meter? I mean, we could be selling t-shirts, but I think this is a lot more interesting. And most meters are like $300 or $400. And so to even like have an idea of what you're getting dosed with, it's like buying a PlayStation, and most people aren't going to do that. But this one's $129, it works really well. And we've got all the specs and all of the, what does it do stuff on our website. STFN Reloaded. Well, no, that's our fake book. STFNreport.com. And, but you can also find it on STFN Reloaded. And our other, we got other pages that are booting up right now. Thanks to the censorship. We don't know how long this page that you're watching on right now is going to last. So just know that we broadcast every day, pretty much. And so if you don't see us broadcasting on this channel, figure out where we're broadcasting via our website, stfnreport.com. So give yourself every advantage. Plenty of sleep, plenty of sunshine on your whole body. Vitamin D is really important as well. And for those that are feeling good right now, we'll keep it up, But for those that are starting to, get interested, then try out the vitamins, the sleep, the sunshine, the fresh air, and reducing your EMF everywhere. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.